Explosive evidence in a Hollywood legal battle wasn't a text message, a leaked email, or a courtroom testimony, but a private voice memo sent in trust, never meant for the public to hear. That's the shocking reality unfolding right now in the growing legal war surrounding Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and the film It Ends With Us. A nearly 5-minute-long voice memo, gentle in tone but heavy in emotion, has suddenly surfaced, and it's changing how this entire story is being viewed. This isn't just about schedules or contracts anymore. This is about trust, friendship, vulnerability, and what happens when private words become public weapons. According to ET, this newly revealed voice memo was sent by Blake Lively to her co-star and director Justin Baldoni right at the very beginning of production on It Ends With Us. At the time, the two were preparing to bring Colleen Hoover's beloved novel to life, a project filled with emotional weight and high expectations. What listeners hear in the memo isn't hostility or manipulation, but exhaustion, openness, and a plea from someone who believed she was speaking to a friend, not a future legal opponent. From the very first moments of the recording, Blake Lively's voice is soft, almost fragile. She speaks slowly, choosing her words carefully, as if afraid of saying too much. She opens up about how overwhelmed she feels, juggling professional obligations while navigating life as a mother. She explains that she's struggling without a baby nurse, a detail that instantly humanizes the Hollywood star and strips away the polished red carpet image the public usually sees. She tells Justin Baldoni that she hasn't shared this level of stress with anyone else, not even her husband, Ryan Reynolds, in the same way. That line alone has sent shockwaves through fan communities and legal analysts alike. "I thought we were friends," she says, making it clear that this conversation was meant to stay private. She asks him almost pleadingly to keep us between us, framing the memo as a moment of personal trust rather than a professional negotiation. At the heart of the message is a scheduling request. Blake Lively explains that she's already committed to another project and wonders if the filming dates for It Ends With Us could possibly be adjusted. She floats the idea gently, saying that if there's any chance production could start 2 weeks earlier, it would mean everything to her. She openly admits that this request is selfish, but also deeply personal.
To explain that she and Ryan Reynolds are under immense emotional strain over the idea of being separated for an entire month. She reveals that the longest they've ever spent apart is less than 2 weeks, and the thought of exceeding that feels overwhelming. In one of the most striking moments of the memo, she recalls a conversation with Ryan Reynolds where she hesitated about sharing so much, but he encouraged her, telling her that she and Justin Baldoni had built a foundation of trust. That trust is now at the center of this legal storm. What makes this voice memo so powerful is not just what's being said, but how it's being said. There's no demand, no pressure, no threats. Instead, listeners hear laughter, pauses, self-doubt, and even moments of awkward humor. At one point, Blake Lively jokes about how sad it feels that her main form of social interaction has become talking into voice memos. It's raw, it's unfiltered, and it's deeply personal. And now, it's evidence. This memo was sent before cameras ever started rolling on It Ends With Us, long before tensions reportedly escalated between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Yet today, it has resurfaced as part of a massive legal case that includes more than 1,000 exhibits, unsealed texts, emails, additional voice recordings. All of it is now part of the official court record. The trial is scheduled to begin on May 18th, and when it does, this memo will be played, dissected, and debated in a courtroom, far removed from the intimate, trusting space it was created in. The biggest question now is how this recording will be interpreted. To some, it paints Blake Lively as vulnerable and sincere, a working mother trying to balance her career with her family while leaning on someone she believed was an ally. To others, it may be framed as a strategic attempt to influence production decisions by appealing emotionally to the director.
Legal experts say this is where things get complicated. Insiders familiar with high-profile entertainment lawsuits explain that tone can be just as important as content. A voice memo captures emotion in a way written messages simply can't. The pauses, the inflection, the laughter, all of it can sway perception. And perception, especially in a jury trial, can be everything. What's especially striking is how different this memo feels compared to the public narrative that followed. In later months, reports suggested tension, miscommunication, and creative disagreements on the set of It Ends With Us. Some accounts painted the working relationship as strained, even combative. But this memo tells a very different story, one of warmth, mutual respect, and emotional openness. That contrast raises uncomfortable questions. What changed? When did things go wrong? And could this memo be used to argue that early interactions between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were not only professional, but deeply personal? The entertainment industry is watching closely because this case touches on something far bigger than one film. It highlights the blurred lines between friendship and business in Hollywood, especially when power dynamics, creative control, and personal lives intersect. Actors and directors are often encouraged to form close bonds to bring authenticity to their work, but when things fall apart, those same bonds can become liabilities. For Justin Baldoni, the memo could be interpreted as proof that he was placed in a difficult position early on, balancing empathy with the realities of directing and scheduling a major production. For Blake Lively, it may serve as evidence that she acted in good faith, believing she was speaking privately and honestly to someone she trusted. And then there's the public. Fans of Blake Lively have flooded social media with messages of support, praising her vulnerability, and criticizing the idea that such a personal recording could be used against her. Others argue that once a message is sent, especially in a professional context, it becomes part of the record, fair game in a legal dispute. The involvement of Ryan Reynolds, even indirectly, has added another layer of intrigue. Though he is not a party to the lawsuit, his presence looms large in the memo, symbolizing family pressures and emotional stakes that go far beyond a movie set. His encouragement for Blake Lively to trust Justin Baldoni now feels haunting in hindsight. As the trial date approaches, insiders warn that this memo is likely just the beginning. With more than 1,000 exhibits already logged, additional recordings and messages could surface, each one offering new context, new contradictions, and new controversy. Every piece of evidence has the potential to reshape the narrative yet again. What's undeniable is that this voice memo has shifted the tone of the entire case. It's no longer just about contracts or creative disagreements. It's about whether emotional honesty can be weaponized, whether private vulnerability has a place in public courtrooms, and whether trust can survive in an industry built on exposure. For It Ends With Us, a story originally centered on love, pain, and emotional complexity, the irony is impossible to ignore. The film's real-life journey now mirrors the very themes it was meant to explore: connection, misunderstanding, and the lasting impact of words spoken in fragile moments. As jurors eventually listen to Blake Lively's voice echo through a courtroom, the same question will hang in the air for everyone watching from the outside. Was this memo a heartfelt cry for understanding, or the first crack in a relationship destined to collapse under pressure? One thing is certain: once a voice is heard, it can never be unheard. And in this legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, that 5-minute recording may end up being the loudest evidence of all.